Welcome back to yet another 213 Crispy video, and today we are going to go ahead and do our part 2 of our truck. Now this particular truck, we've already gone through and done all the suspension, and we've done all the paint. The only thing that we was not able to find was the front headlights. So if I go into, oh come on, so if I go into assembly mode, you're going to notice it's giving me the options for right headlights and left headlights. Well, I went and purchased every single headlight that is even available to be purchased, and there is no item for me to be able to add to our truck. So that's the first real major problem that we've ran into. So I've already pulled our engine out to make the process go a little bit quicker and faster. So let's go ahead and we're gonna start by stripping down our motor. Oop, forgot about our radiator. Can't do that. So let's go ahead and we'll start rebuilding this engine. And yeah, I kind of like how the hood tilts forward like a real semi-truck does. The downside is it's obviously molded into the engine crane, but you can't, I mean, there's not much you can do about that. So limitations of the game with the physical parts. So let's go ahead and let's start tearing apart our engine. Like I said, this is just a traditional inline 6-cylinder, which is actually a correct diesel engine, even though this particular engine here is not diesel. They just took the standard 6-cylinder that was already here and just modded it and made it basically blew it up out of proportion to make it fit this vehicle, which is fine. I don't have anything against that. Kind of a nice change of pace for once, because oh come on, is because it's not your standard build like I'd been typically building a bunch of V8 cars here recently. So it's nice to be able to work on a old inline 6-cylinder here. I don't know exactly which version this was supposed to model, but if I had to bet, it would be the Ford 300. The old workhorse, basically, is what I'd call it. These engines were about bulletproof. A lot of your old, I'm talking like really old, like dump trucks, ran this engine for years. So a lot of your old farm trucks, they don't technically still use the engine. They don't make it anymore, but a lot of people still run it that I know of. They're extremely torquey engines, and it has to do with the design. They just don't have horsepower, but you don't need horsepower to be able to pull a trailer full of hay or whatever, livestock around. You don't need horsepower, you need torque. That's what torque is for. Torque is for pulling. Weight, I should say. Not just pulling, but it's for weight. Pull our camshaft out. And yeah, I think we're down to our long box. Let's go ahead and rotate this on over so I can get to the bottom half. This truck was in pretty rough shape when we bought it. It did come from a junkyard. I think most of the truck was around 30% when we purchased it. I think I bought it for $5,500 if my memory is correct. And I have no clue how much we put into it, but I do know that we've salvaged a bunch of parts from my warehouse because It has different suspension components than some other vehicles that I would typically do, so I knew I had a bunch of parts left over. So like I know I'm probably gonna have a bunch of parts for this. So let's go ahead and go to our warehouse. Man, the sun is bright this morning. And I'm going to search in the engines. I don't really know what I need. I'm going to try typing in 16 and see what it finds. Oh, come on. Yeah, I ain't gonna find it. Okay. We'll do this the old-fashioned way then. I'll just run until I run out of parts. And I already know I'm going to need some. So let's go ahead and go to our parts store. I'm going to purchase for at least the lower end that I know that I need. Which will be... I'm looking for rods. And I need 6 of these. And I need 6 rings. And then I believe... Nope, I need rod caps. Where are they at? They should be down here somewhere. Rod caps. I'm going to do 6 of those. I know I'm going to need, I think, crankshaft caps, or crankshaft bearing caps. I just don't know how many, so I'm going to buy 6 just to be safe. Crankshaft bearing caps. I think it's actually 4, but I'm going to buy 6 just to be safe, because I can always use them for another build, so it's not like I'm going to never ever use the parts, so... The downside is my game's going to load a little bit slower because my inventory is also picked back up on my other side, like my game side, because I had purchased a bunch of headlights trying to figure out why the headlights weren't working properly. So if it's got the word 16 on it, I'm pretty much pulling it. Oh, my stomach hurts today. Well, my upper abdomen, I should say. Because I don't really know which part, like I said, I don't know which part I really need for this particular engine, but I know I have a bunch of parts for it. So I'm like, well, since I'm here, I might as well pick it up. Water pump, 16B. 16B power steering pump. No, it's a 14B, sorry. And this is the nice thing about stocking up your inventory for when you're early in the stage and you don't really know like what you want to do. And what I mean by that is like, let's just say you're level 20, you're getting tired of doing the customer grind, you want to change something up, then go to the junkyard and go buy a bunch of these parts, repair them, scrap what doesn't repair, and then keep the parts. Keep the parts that do repair, because then when you start doing these jobs like this, you have all these parts already sitting in your inventory over here at your warehouse. And it saves you a headache and a bunch of issues later down the road, because you already have most of this stuff in stock. So it's you don't have to go to the parts stores much and purchase these things, like the heads and a block. How much is a block? I guarantee they're not cheap. One head. Yes, I understand it's only one, but one head's not going to be cheap. I think that's all the parts I need, or at least that I have in stock. I did have rod caps in stock. I didn't think I did. Oh well. Might as well take these while I'm at it. Yeah, okay. Let's go ahead and start building this engine. So we'll head on over here, mount our new shiny block, which I thought the one I had repaired, which it did. The one crankshaft I had did not, so I'm glad I had the replacement. I need a 16B camshaft. Okay, well, let's go ahead and mount some more parts. I'll get that later. We got our water pump. We'll go ahead and mount that on while I'm thinking about it. I'm going to need a water pump pulley. Did the bracket replace? No. So you have to buy 2 brackets. 1 and 2 over there. They rarely, I don't think they ever repair, which is kind of quirky. I don't understand why you can't. So let's count how many crankshaft bearing caps. That's 1, 2, 3. A typical V8 would only have 3. 4. Like I said, I thought it was 4, but I was wrong. It's 5. No big deal. So that's 5. So let's go ahead and start mounting our pistons and our caps. I could have went crazy and put in some tuning DLC parts, but that's about overkill, honestly. Put our other rod cap on. Oil pan. Like, this oil pan only has 4 bolts. That is completely unrealistic. That would have like 12. But whatever. No big deal. The only thing I can say is with the mod, because everything's blown out of proportion, it's a lot harder to hit, like to rotate that engine. You notice if I try to get it over here, it's really hard for me to hit it because it keeps hitting the engine. And little stuff. It's nothing major. It's stuff like that's what you gotta pay attention to. So my other head did not repair. So I'm glad I had an extra engine head in stock. Did the distributor repair? No. Go figure. I do have an oil filter. I do have a fuel pump. And this particular engine does use an external fuel pump, which is nice. It runs off of your engine, not electronically. I don't have a coil. Don't have the pulley. Don't have spark plugs. I'm going to have to buy push rods. Even though I have 2 of them. Let's go ahead and do that. And remember, you have to have 2 push rods and 2 rocker arms per cylinder. So this would be 12 of each. Remember that. So let's go buy some parts here in a minute. Hey, my exhaust manifold repaired. That's that. Oh, missing one more. Our intake manifold and the intake repaired. Go figure. carburetor actually repaired. Airbase did not. Okay. It's time to go buy some parts. I wonder if search will work this time for me in here. I doubt it. So let's go to engine. Let's try 16 space B. Nope. Oh well. We'll do it the old-fashioned way. So I need an air filter, air base, air cover. I need, oops, I didn't need that one. I need this one, and I need that one. Gonna need a battery. Gonna need a cam gear. Gonna need a cam shaft. I already have a carburetor. I already have a crankshaft. Gonna need a pulley, and I'm gonna go with a wild shot in the dark and say it's that one. I'm gonna need an engine head cover or valve cover, however you want to pronounce it. Already have my intake and exhaust. I'm gonna need a fuel filter. Already have the fuel pump. Gonna need a ignition coil. Gonna need a distributor. I think I already have the cap and the rotor. So now I need a 16B ignition wire. Pretty much everything that's labeled 16B is the parts that you're purchasing, for the most part. Some of it's a little quirky, like the oil filter's not. No big deal, and they're also painted blue. It's just another way for you to remember what parts to purchase. Power steering pump 16B. I don't remember if I had one or not, so we'll grab one while we're here. Radiator C, we're going to need that for the truck. I know it's going to take a radiator fan, and if I had to bet, it's B, because that's the V8 version. I'm going to need 12. So remember, you have 6 cylinders, and it takes 2 of each. One's for your intake and one's for your exhaust side, so that's why you need 12. And you're going to need a belt. This one I don't remember, but if I'm going to go with my instinct, like I said earlier, serpentine belt A for a 16B, and serpentine belt B for a 16B is right there. I'm going to need 6 spark plugs, because it is a 6-cylinder. I'm going to need a starter. And we'll need a timing chain for 16B. I'm going to pick up a timing chain cover. I'm going to need a timing chain sprocket. I don't know if that's the right one or not, but I'm going to purchase it anyway. I think it is. It's one of the few parts that's not labeled 16V. Push rods will be 12, because remember, 2 for each cylinder, and you have to make sure you get the 16B version. Your water pump, which we already have, but it is a 16B, and then your water pump pulley. So I think that will make up all the parts that we need for our engine. Oh, I forgot to say that this engine is also used on some tractors. I've seen it used on tractors before. They actually use this engine all the way through, I'm going to say the mid-90s. 94, 93, 94, 95. Somewhere around there, I think, is the last time that Ford used this engine. And it was in a I think they put it in an F-150 and an F-250. I know I'm going out of order, because what I should have done is installed, you know what, let's go and do that first. What I should have done is installed a camshaft first, because what happens is when you install your camshaft, your push rods, and that's why they're so long, they go all the way down to your camshaft. So what happens is your camshaft is like, imagine an oval, and your push rod rides on it. So as it flattens, it pushes down, and then when it rises up, it pushes up with it. So if this is the high point and this is the low, what it does is it comes up, and that's what raises and pushes down and opens up your port, and it's what opens up your valve spring, which then everything about your valve basically is what it messes with. And that's why you have to have your tension set properly, because everything is under pressure and it takes so much force to create a vacuum. So when they're shut, it doesn't let gases and air flow through it still, because if it does, then your engine will just continuously run 24/7 and you'll never be able to shut it off. You'll lose horsepower, because your horsepower is basically, it's compression is what it is. Pretty cool how it works. Hard to explain without having a visualization. A traditional engine, like a V8, would be slanted to the middle, and that's why your camshaft is at the top of the engine. So your crankshaft is at the bottom, and your camshaft's always above it. Where this particular engine, it's to the side, and that's why these push rods are stupid long, because they're going all the way through the block, and that's one of the reasons what makes this engine so strong. Is the engine does not make a ton of horsepower to put hardly any stress on any of the components besides torque, and the torque comes from having 6 cylinders, and the way that it fires, it pretty much continuously has a cylinder firing. Jeeps also ran these engines for a long time. Different manufacturer, different size engine. I mean, everybody had one. Chevy had one. Dodge had one. They all had inline 6 cylinders at some point in their life. But the Ford 300 is probably the most well-known inline 6 cylinder. It was used to probably the most recent times of any other vehicle that I can think of, at least myself. So we're getting there. Go ahead and get our Oh, I did not get the crankshaft. And then see, that's one of those parts that I told you. Crankshaft. It's a V8 crankshaft. I should have remembered. So we'll go back to our parts store. Go up the crankshafts. Crankshaft pulley V, and it's not the overhead valve, it's just the standard V8, because it has to do with the belts. That's why. Mount our bracket. Mount our alternator. Sad part is this alternator here, the 16B, is actually a pretty common part that a lot of people use. And actually, I've used one of those on a 289 that I had built. And radiator fan B, so it was correct. It has to do with it's an old V-belt design, that's why. Let's go up to the top of our engine. We're going to mount our fuel filter, our air filter base, our air filter cover, and I think we're done. So I think we have a fully cleaned and restored inline 6-cylinder. So let's go ahead and we're going to take this from our engine stand, mount it to our crane, our engine hoist, however you want to pronounce it. Open up our hood so we can get access to the engine, even though the hood goes through the crane. And now we get the glitch again. There we go. So we're going to install our brand new engine. So while we're in here, let's go ahead and mount our new radiator. And I know we're going to need a battery. Does this truck not take a battery? I don't see it. Interesting. Okay, well, let's go ahead and do our transmission then. Yeah, I'm pretty sure our truck just went into the ceiling. I know the exhaust did. Let me up there. Okay, let's just start mounting our stuff. So, okay, I guess I gotta go purchase. Let's go purchase ourselves some transmission parts. So we'll go back to our warehouse. We're gonna go to gearbox, and we're gonna purchase a clutch plate, a pressure plate, a bearing, and a flywheel. That's the minimum. That's just to get the transmission mounted. I don't know if the transmission was good or not. I didn't pay any attention, so we'll see. And I believe it's its own trainee as well. I think it's a 16B. Yep, it is. And it did repair, which is fantastic. And I believe this particular starter you have to get from above. You cannot get it from down here. Yep, so I was right. So you have to get that from the engine bay. I know it's dumb, but whatever. And the only thing quirky, like I mentioned with video 1, is that they've modeled this as a 4-wheel drive truck, and here's your front drive shaft, but it's not going to any transfer case, because normally there would be a transfer case mounted on the back end of your transmission that transfers energy to both your front and your rear axles, but this particular one has a front drive shaft, but it goes to nothing. That's the way it is, so don't freak out. It is what it is. I guess it's just the limitations of being able to run a coil, or not coil, but a leaf spring front end suspension system. Just like how there's no bracket to mount that. It's the little details. I'm going to assume it's the limitations of the game. Can't fault the developer for that one. So, what am I missing? Obviously, I'm missing the headlights. I know I'm going to be missing my license plates for the front and the rear, so I'll have to go purchase those. I'm looking for a brake booster, and I'm looking for a battery. I think I found the battery. I think it's in here. What? So there's no engine? I'm serious. I don't see a place for a battery. Wow. Okay. What am I missing? Oh, I didn't replace the front window. And then I gotta find out, does it have tail lights? I honestly don't remember if it did or if it didn't. Every vehicle should have tail lights. Well, it's got them, but I don't think I can remove them, so... Yeah, I just don't have any front license plates. So how am I supposed to start this engine without a battery? That's another problem. let's go purchase some license plates, and we'll go with our normal Ohio and our clear one, or blank one, I should say. There we go. So, assemble mode, put our Ohio tag on the back, and our standard one on the front. Let's go ahead and move this thing out of our way. Oh, come on. This is what I'm talking about. Things get in the way. Come on. Move back to its original location. So I think we're done. Unfortunately, there is no spot for a headlight. Like I said, I am not the only person to complain about it. You know what? Let's go to a junkyard real quick. I want to see if we can find another one that's available to purchase, and see if we can find one that has a headlight on it. My bet is that they don't have any. I think it took me like 5 trips last time to the junkyard to find a semi. So we got a Jeep. Looks like a Camaro. No, would be either right here. Usually it would be there, back there, because it's such a big vehicle. But I'm gonna see what else is around. Now, one thing I can say is, since I've loaded this game, this mod, and the fully sick Firebird mod, that the spawns are very, I don't want to say crappy, but they've been very crappy lately. So we're going to try that one more time. Come on, game. The joys of modded vehicles. They take a little bit of extra time to load. We're going to make one more trip to a junkyard. Yes. The nice thing about the truck is it's very simple. It's very basic. And what I mean by that is the suspension's not elaborate. It's the standard parts, and it doesn't cost a lot to build because, like I said, it is a 6-cylinder. It's the base engine. Nothing fancy-dancy about it. It's not supercharged. It's nothing crazy. Jeep. Busted up car. Look like a Malibu. There we go. Old big Chevelle. Nothing. Okay, well, if I ever come across one, I may make a third video. For a follow-up with this particular mod. We'll go from there. We'll see what happens. But for now, we're going to go and test drive our semi-truck. We'll go and throw it on the dyno. It should be standard power, because I didn't put any performance parts on it or did nothing crazy with it. So it shouldn't be anything out of the ordinary that I'm not expecting it to be anyway. So let's go and move our truck to the dyno, run the dyno on it real quick, and then we will take it to the abandoned airfield. And in the abandoned airfield, we'll do some laps on it and see how well she drives. I'm going to take a wild shot in the dark and say it's a big turd, but I could be wrong. So let's move our vehicle to the dyno. Aha, no oil. I forgot it. See? This is why I hate putting oil filters on early, because I always forget to put engine oil in it. Oh yeah, and I forgot to add that this thing takes like 7 quarts of oil usually too. It's not like 4.5 quarts like most modern engines are. Yeah, like this thing is a hog. Okay, now back out of here. No, I didn't want that. Move to the dyno room. We gotta make sure we shut our hood before we start the dyno. It fits in here pretty good. Are you sure you want to proceed? Yes. So this is saying 303 horsepower. Honestly, I was gonna say like 150 horsepower was realistic, but if they're saying 303, more power to them. But I don't know of a single inline 6-cylinder that got 300 horsepower, but they're not made for horsepower, they're made for torque. Whatever. So yeah, we made our whopping 303 horsepower. That's why the blue line, the blue's your torque, that's why it's way up out of the way compared to the horsepower, so it's good enough for me. So let's go ahead and we're gonna move this car back to lift A. Still drives me nuts that you can't find headlights. And then we are going to run back outside, and we're going to go to the abandoned airport, and we're going to take our semi-truck. And remember, we bought it for I think $5,500. So it's a pretty cheap mod to even be able to build, which is kind of nice. I think it looks good. Just needs headlights. I don't know what the horn button is, if it even has one. Yeah, this thing's a turd. Oh my god. Oh wow. Okay. Interesting. Oh, this is scary. Okay. Oh, this is gonna be awesome. I can see it now. I think it's just these ginormous tires is killing it. Okay. So I'm up against the wall. Neutral bomb. Ready. 3, 2, 1. Oh. This is floored. Oh my gosh. This is pretty terrible. Needs to blow some black smoke out of the exhaust pipes. Now my next question is this thing like a 3-speed or a 5-speed like any other vehicle? Because if it is, it's gonna fly, but it's gonna take 15 hours to get to top speed. It's like we're at 100 kilometers an hour. Oh my god, this is gonna take forever. On the plus side, it drives pretty good. this is bad. This is bad. So who knows what the actual top speed is? You know what? I guess there's a way to find out. But God, this thing is terrible. We're gonna do some donuts. Okay. Oh my God, this thing drives terrible. That's the only thing I can say is because it's got some god-awful tires on it. Size-wise, that is. And it's... I don't think you can change the gearing. I don't think you can change the gearing in the game either. So you're kind of limited. So this is not a mod that you would want to drive and have fun in. But we're going to take it to the drag strip. And we're going to see what the top speed is. Since I can't get this thing up to enough speed on the drag or the abandoned airfield. So yeah. Let's go to the speed track. And we'll see what this thing will do. Because we know it ain't going to do a burnout. Oh my God, this is terrible. I can't believe I'm about to attempt this. Go! Gonna beat a land speed record. Here we go. We're gonna beat a land speed record in our semi-truck. Now, I wonder if I put small tires on this thing. Would it work? My bet is it would. Come on. Come on. Come on. There you go. Oh. My trainie's slipping. Come on. I'm gonna run out of real estate. That's what I'm gonna end up doing. $105, $106, $107, $108, $109. And it's going. I mean, it'll get there if I had 15 miles to drive. Because it's going to run out of room, like right here. Yeah, 117 kilometers an hour is top speed. That's what I'm going to call it. God, that's terrible. Okay. Well, we'll go back. We'll see how much it's worth. And we'll sell it. And then we will wrap up this video. While I'm waiting on it to load, please make sure you guys go check out my Twitch channel, my Twitter channel, my Facebook channel. Wherever you're watching me from, go check out my other stuff. So, it's going to be 213 Crispy, CHRISP. And you will find me in the same name for pretty much everything. So, twitch.tv/213 Crispy. And then if you type in 213 Crispy on YouTube, you will find me as well. Just use the... I have a couple different channels. One's my personal one, very much on it. And then my gaming one, which will have the same logo as what's on the top of my screen. My 213 Crispy logo. So yeah, you can find me just about everywhere. Give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down if you like or if you don't like the video. You're not going to hurt my feelings. But any and all feedback that I get from you guys, I would greatly appreciate. Because I'm always looking for viewership when it comes to feedback for these vehicles on what to build next. Speaking of what to build next, actually, let's do this first. So this vehicle is worth $20,529. So we made $15,000 before parts and restoration on those parts. So I'll say we made $7,000 probably is realistic. The next build is going to be a fully sick mod on a Pontiac Firebird 1977, and this one I'm probably going to make it into a pro mod because he's got a bunch of different options for these vehicles, so that's probably what I'm going to do. And then I also have another Unicorn version 2, and this one I'm probably going to do all tuning DLC parts. And you remember this one sold for like was it $420,000? It was something like that. So it was expensive. So these are the next 2 videos that I plan on doing. This one's probably going to be a 2 or 3 part series, the Firebird, and then the Unicorn is going to be probably a 2-part video as well. So gives you guys something to look forward to, in a sneak peek, I should say, of what's to come. So thank you guys very much for watching, and hopefully you all have a fantastic and great day, and I will see you all another day.